Hi, welcome. In this lesson, I'm gonna show you a few little things that can make a big difference in your playing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a simple chord progression, and then we're gonna look at three very simple things that you can add into this chord progression that are going to make it sound incredible. So little things, big difference. So step one, we need to figure out what our chord progression is. So we're gonna be using G major, G B D, A major, A, C sharp, and E, and then D major, D, F sharp, and A, and B minor, that's B, D, and F sharp. And if you love your theory, we've got the key of D major, and the chords that I'm using are based on the 4th degree of the D major scale, the 5th degree of the D scale, the 1st degree, the D, and then the 6th, the minor 6. And that's what we're playing with. So you just start here, play 2 of each, and it already sounds really good. But we're gonna make it sound even better. So the first little thing we're gonna add to your playing to make it sound amazing is a sus chord. So let's start with our very first chord. We've got a G, and instead of playing this middle note, I'm just gonna swap it for the note right above this root note, which is G. So we'd call that a sus2. So we've got the 1, the 2, and the 5. So here's how it sounds normally, and here's how it sounds with a sus chord. And we could pull that whole concept up to our next chord. Does that sound pretty? And then to the next chord. I'm gonna play B minor, just normal, and we'll do that again. So G, it's a sus2, A sus2, and then D sus2. You could play a sus2 on the B if you want. It's a bit crunchy and dissonant, but it adds some character. And you could also resolve each of those to the 3 again if you want. So it's a small change, but already the ear is having a completely different experience of what you were doing previously. So sus chords are the best for this. Now, because we're gonna be adding on some other things, we're going to just use the sus chord on our second chord in the progression. So I'll do that again. I've got my G, normal, and then I've got my A. I'm gonna resolve to a normal A chord, and then D and B minor. So I've just added in a simple sus2 chord, and already our ears are on an adventure. So what can we do next? Well, we're gonna add something called a slash chord. And again, it's really, really simple because all you have to do is play something a little different with your left hand than it has currently been playing. So for example, if I'm playing a G chord here, I'm matching with my left hand with a G. And I'm playing my A sus2 here, I'm matching with an A in my left. And normally, on the D, I'd match with the D. But we don't have to play those root notes in our left hand. I'm gonna choose this time to play the middle note of my triad shape, the 3rd, in my left hand. So I want you to hear how this sounds. Here's my G, here's my A sus2, and now I'm gonna play a D slash F sharp. Doesn't that sound amazing? So pretty. So you can build a slash chord on any of these. If you wanted to start on G and play this as a slash chord, you would just grab this center note, the 3rd, and play it in the bass instead of the root. And it would sound like this. It lifts the ear. And it works on the A chord as well. There's my sus2, so you could do it sus2 or just a normal A chord. It works on the D, center note is F sharp. And then it doesn't sound as good on that B minor. And so I'm just gonna stick with the root in my left on that minor chord. And this is the beauty of what we're doing. It's some experimentation. It's figuring out what your ear likes and what it doesn't like. And if there's something that you're like, I don't love that, you don't have to do it. Use these little tips sparingly because they're gonna make a big impact on the ear. So I'm gonna use one sus chord, I'm gonna use one slash chord, and then you can hear the difference. So we're gonna use a normal G, an A sus2, a D slash F sharp, and then a B minor. Isn't that beautiful? So we went from this sound to this sound. All right, so there's one more thing that we can do, and I think that this might be one of the most impactful things because it's really just opening up a whole new world of possibilities. We're gonna play the same chords, but we're gonna use something called inversions. And inversions trick the ear into hearing something a little different out of the same notes. So I can play my G chord here, and my ear is mostly hearing this note. usually hear the highest note played. But if I choose to play these notes in a different order, so maybe I'm going to play G normal, I'm going to play my A sus, and then I'm going to play my D chord in an inversion. It highlights that top note. So instead of playing D, F sharp, and A, I went A, D, and F sharp, and it was a different experience. Let's listen to that again. Here's my sus, and here's my inversion. And now when I come up to my B minor, not only is it easier to move between the chords, but my ear is now experiencing a bit differently. And it's even more exciting when I pull in that slash chord with that inversion. And you can invert any of the chords. I'm going to go to a G chord here in first inversion. So instead of G, B, and D, I'm going to go B, D, and G. Listen to this. And then I'm going to go to a first inversion A chord. And then I'm going to go to a root position D chord. And then I'm going to go to a second inversion B minor chord. So I'm able to move between those very efficiently because I spent a lot of time practicing my chord inversions. You don't have to be that fancy with them. You can just pick one inversion to add into one place in your progression that you like the sound of best and start there and then see where it goes. And you can slowly add more in as you go. So all you need to know about inversions are you take the same 3 notes that you're playing already and you just play them in a different order. So if we review, we've got our G chord, we've got our A sus2, then we had our D slash F sharp, and then we had a B minor. So let's choose to use, because B minor is one of the ones that doesn't really have anything added to it, let's choose to use an inversion here. So D, F sharp, and B instead of B, D, and F sharp. So let's listen to that again. So let's contrast these two concepts. We'll play just the chord progression without any of the fancy stuff added on, and then we'll play it again so our ear can really hear the difference. So here it is, just normal triads, nothing added in. And now we'll try all the tricks. Here's our A sus2, here's our D with a slash chord and a B minor in an inversion. So that sounds amazing, but there's more. If you want to continue to build on this and give what we've just created a further makeover, you can take a look at where you just left off. So we just ended on that inverted B minor, and now we're going to play the exact same chord progression again, but this time we're going to add these tricks to different chords. So our first chord in the progression is G, and instead of playing it in root position, I'm going to use an inversion. I'm going to play D, G, and B. And now my next chord is A, which I'm going to play in root position, but this time, instead of a sus2, I'm going to play a slash chord. And then the next chord we have is a D chord, and I'm going to play that as a sus2. And then I'll play my B minor normally. So one more time, we've got that inverted G shape, slash chord on the A, the sus2 on the D, and then just a normal B minor. And there you have it. Simple tricks. They're just little things that make a big difference in how your playing will sound.